Joining me now to talk more about this meeting with Hungary is dperry, former Europe, Africa, and Middle East editor for the Associated Press. Dan, we know a major talking point today will be Hungary's investment in Russian oil. The prime minister there, Viktor Orban, maintaining his country's landlocked and he's got no other alternatives. Is that really the reality?
No, I think it actually is. Hungary has one major pipeline route coming from Russia, and that is the reason why they depend on Russian oil for 60. They did for 60% of their oil a few years ago, and now it's up to 80%. I think experts would agree that for them to build new pipelines, and we're talking about several different possibilities in the short and medium term, would take between 1 and 3 years. And so it obviously isn't very simple at all. But realistically, Hungary is a fairly small country of about 10 million people, and their purchases of Russian oil is not what's keeping the Russian war machine afloat. It may be annoying to many, but realistically, it's a little bit of a blip in a narrative. And the bigger picture is that, as I think many people know, Orban of Hungary is sort of the face of MAGA in Europe. And I think the idea of Trump really cracking down on Orban when he is so beloved of his base, and when Orban's success in turning Hungary into essentially an elected autocracy is very obviously something Trump would like to replicate in the U.S., I think that's unlikely to happen. So realistically, they're going to look for a way to get around this unpleasantness.
Yeah, you bring up some good points, and also a very real possibility that President Trump might sympathize and take it easy on Hungary. We also know last month he called Orban a great leader. He contended that Hungary was sort of stuck when it came to buying Russian oil. So with that being said, with sort of the president's position already somewhat known, what good is this meeting to have in the first place?
Oh, I think basically for Trump to meet Orban is a dog whistle to his base. It's political. The geopolitics of it, I think, are secondary. Does Trump really expect Orban to build new pipelines and wean Hungary off Russian oil? I doubt it very much. It's conceivable. It's conceivable that Trump would like Hungary to remove the blockage that it currently represents from a speedy Ukrainian accession to the European Union, because the bigger picture is we know Trump has a lot of sympathy for Putin, and I think it's by now well understood that Trump believes an end to the Ukraine war probably should involve Ukraine ceding about 1/5 of its territory to Russia. Now, many people would say that is a Munich-like arrangement. I'm talking about Neville Chamberlain, where Hitler was appeased, and that would only whet the appetite of a dictator like Putin to attack other countries. But Trump clearly believes that it makes sense to turn this into a real estate deal where Putin is made to go away by having Ukraine give up part of its territory. We're talking about the east of Ukraine, Donetsk and Luhansk primarily. Ukraine would need to be compensated for that, and since they can't have NATO, the U.S. opposes that itself. I think the U.S. would like the EU to sort of clear aside the bureaucratic and procedural hurdles from a rapid accession of Ukraine to the European Union. And that is something that Hungary is currently blocking, and maybe therein lies the potential for a deal.
You mentioned some of the praise that Hungary has heaped onto President Trump. I want to play a soundbite, actually, because President Trump hosted the leaders of 5 Central Asian nations at the White House last night. It included this soundbite from the president of Kazakhstan. Take a listen.
You are the great leader, statesman, sent by heaven to bring common sense and traditions that we all share and value. Millions of people in so many countries are so grateful to you. And I'm convinced that your wise and bold policy needs to be strongly supported worldwide. Under your presidency, America is ushering in a new golden age.
Not included in that soundbite, the leader of Uzbekistan told Trump that in his country, they actually call him, quote, the president of the world. Later, President Trump announced on Truth Social that he reached a trade deal with Uzbekistan with billions of dollars in investments in key American sectors. We see Trump being praised for his work in foreign affairs and negotiating these trade deals, yet Here at home, here in America, there's a historic shutdown. It's now going on 38 days. So is the criticism that he's recently receiving fair, that perhaps he's focusing too much on international affairs than his own country's problems?
Oh, I wouldn't take the praise at face value. I think global leaders have sort of understood that Trump appreciates sycophancy, and one way to get what you want from Trump is to heap praise upon him. And honestly, I have to say, as an American expat who's lived all over the world, it is dispiriting to observe. I can't remember another U.S. president that was willing to, cede advantage to people who praised him personally. It's a little bit pathetic, but they clearly are all doing it, and some of them are seeing it work. For example, after Trump's meeting with Putin in Alaska, you saw the Europeans show up in D.C. pretty much the next day and heap praise upon Trump. And their strategy obviously was that if you did that, you might block Trump, you might somehow persuade Trump to not give away the store to Putin. And that appears to have worked because Trump a little bit moderated his stance in favor of Russia. I think that's what we're talking about here. Is Trump focusing too much on international affairs?
Right.
Look, this is a political question. I mean, for example, in the Middle East, Trump has done a lot of good. Trump basically forced Netanyahu to end the war, and he forced Qatar to at least bring Hamas to heel. And this is because he was willing to use leverage that Biden wasn't willing to use. That worked. In other places, it's not working quite so well. The domestic issues are the domestic issues. I mean, do you support the big, beautiful bill? Do you support the tariff regime? Which is basically, I believe, based on a misunderstanding of how tariffs work. They're a tax on the American people. We'll see what the Supreme Court does about that. Trump is very, very proactive,
Right.
and he's doing a lot of things that are upsetting a lot of people. But internationally, some of his agenda is actually good.
Yeah, and he's got his hands in a lot of pots internationally as well, too. Dan Perry, thank you very much for your time.